Hey, good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live with me, Mike Avery. Hey, Cliff, I got your question. That is an excellent question. I will use that for next week's Ask Avery segment. Thank you for that. Hey, Craig. How you doing, buddy? Thanks again for your help with the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner. You helped to make it a huge success. Our biggest one yet. Hudson, there's a name I don't recognize. Appreciate you being along with us. Cliff, you are more than welcome, and thank you for suggesting that. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Always a pleasure to have you along with us, as well as Bruce. On a very warm Wednesday night. In fact, unseasonably warm, right? It feels kind of good. Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Elliot, again, I enjoyed the squirrel and coyote pictures. Oh, Hudson usually watches with Grandpa, but he's not over there tonight. Johnny Callison, good evening. How are you? Bruce, right back at you. It was a nice day. After the storms rolled through, it was a very nice day, wasn't it? No complaints at all. Dave, again, thanks for joining us. Andy, hey. Jeff, hey. Stu checking in from the 45th parallel. Everybody knows where the 45th parallel is. Oh, my goodness. Shelby Avery Esquire. Hello. I didn't think you were ever on Facebook. Hey, Brent, how are you? I've still got your baits. I didn't forget about you, buddy. Johnny Bowler checking in from the Yoop. He says he's home, but I know he's at Andy's. Bit moist out there today. Absolutely. Thinking about wanting to play golf here real soon, but the courses are going to be pretty damp here for the next several days. Of course, not going to happen much this weekend anyway with Easter coming up. Hello, Jim. There you are. Ed. Johnny, I know where you're at. You said you were going to be home, but I know you're over at Andy's. And you know what? If I had Andy's right across the street like you do, I'd be at Andy's as well. Paul. Sal's along for the ride. Thank you, Randy. Hello. Hey, Jerry. Pleasure to have you along with us. Once again, Lost Glove Farms, sipping on a cold tea. Yeah, I bet you are, Johnny. Sipping on a cold iced tea. Uh-huh. Well, and I'm sipping on Crystal Light, but not for long. When I'm done, it'll be replaced. Well, not replaced. There will be some Maker's Mark added to it. Mike, always a pleasure. You were with us this morning, and I do appreciate it. My name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live here on most of my social media outlets. I'm working on a way, I think. I'm trying to get, what's the word? Certified? Verified on Instagram. And if I can get verified on Instagram, then it opens up a whole new world of how I can stream live to Instagram as well. Hey, Dave, how have you been? Always a pleasure. Who did I ran into a friend of yours the other day at the gas station. We were talking about you. Were your ears burning? Jeff, thank you for joining us. John says, I don't agree with what you said this morning. You think I would be a very good NRC member. The question came up this morning. Somebody, and it might have been Elliot, asked if I had ever considered lobbying for or being interested in being a member of the Natural Resources Commission. The answer is no. Flat out, vehemently, no. Not interested at all. I don't think I'm qualified to do that, and I just would not want to deal with the politics. So the answer is no. I appreciate you bringing it up, but no. It is walleye time, isn't it, Jeff? Dan, good evening. Hey, Tony. Tony, my crow hunting and skinny water rat buddy. Louis says, good evening, Captain Mike. Dave says, coffee now. Jim Davison in a bit. Jerry says, Mike, what day is it? What's Wednesday? April 5th. Hump day. Yeah, I posted a picture on the Facebook page of the first morels of the season. They were found down in Oakland County by Billy Walters. In fact, I have Clay Edney, Michigan's morel master, on the radio show this week to talk about springtime morels. Ashley, how are you? It was nice to see you and Joe at the Wednesday Night Live in West Branch at the Lumberjack Restaurant. Bernie says politics are stressful enough as it is without jumping in head first. I want nothing to do with it. I'm disgusted by what's going on in Lansing right now. I want nothing to do with it. Nothing. The farther I can stay away from that, the better. So, what's on my list of things to talk about? I walked out the door this morning and it smelled like night crawlers. Now, you might have said, well, is it raining again? You might have said, well, it smells like fresh, moist earth, probably. But to me, it smelled like night crawlers and it was warm and it was very nice. A nice feeling. Stu says, I think that's the point. Get people on the board dedicated to management, not bureaucratic bungling. Still not interested, Stu. You couldn't pay me. And I don't think NRC commissioners get paid, but you couldn't pay me to be on the NRC. Jerry, good evening. How are you? Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. I talked with Mr. Angler Quest himself, Brad Dupuis, about my boat. And we're going to do a few more things than what I had thought. Number one, a couple of cosmetic things with a logo, but also the boat right now has a brand new 300 horse Mercury outboard on it. Brad says he thinks he wants to swap it out for the 300 horse outboard I ran last year. And that's fine because that motor's broken in. And now I wouldn't have to spend 10 hours breaking it in. I could get right to fishing. So I'm good with that. Brad said I should have that boat here in the next couple of weeks. Probably just about the time my turkey season starts. That's always the case. It's like turkey hunting, walleye fishing. And then this year, because Shelby Avery Esquire is getting married at the end of the summer, I'm going bear hunting in the springtime, actually the first week in June, rather than go up there in August. So it's going to be a good spring. Tim, good evening. How are you? Ken, thank you. Dana, hey, Nick Grillo's with us. Nick says, a good night to give away a ham, isn't it? And we will do that. We will give away a Michigan brand ham in probably about 15 minutes. Don't make your comments now because we're not starting it now. By the way, if you want to see a pretty cool video, Nick, what is your YouTube channel? It's MI Nick something. We'll send people your direction. Mike Bicknell, thank you for joining us. MI Nick what? Nick just posted a video of his Arkansas snow goose hunt, and it's pretty cool. So stay tuned. We'll be giving away a Michigan brand ham. I sighted in my crossbow this week, the new crossbow. I put the old scope on it. The thing about it, I had MI Nick Outdoors. So if you go to MI Nick Outdoors on YouTube, when we're done here, don't leave to do that. You can see Tim says it's his first time listening. Well, I appreciate that, Tim. Where are you checking in from? Jim's checking in from Glad when he sent me a trail cam picture of a big bird strutting out in his food plot today in front of a couple of hens. But Nick, I think you do a good job, a great job. Don't sell yourself short. James, good evening. How are you? Appreciate you joining us. So I sighted the crossbow in and it's dialed right in. Really, it's with my old bow, which was a great bow. I could shoot into a Reinhardt 18-1 target from 20 yards and get excellent penetration, but it would stay in the target. I tried to shoot into the Reinhardt 18-1 with the new crossbow, and it blew right through it. Elmer checking in from Petoskey, beautiful part of the state. Good evening, Elmer. How are you? Jacob is catching hog walleye in Erie right now. They're catching hog walleye on Saginaw Bay as well. Skidway Prescott area. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Adam says, it's going to be a late walleye run this year, Little Beta Knock. Tons of ice and snow left. Winter just won't give up this year. I'm sorry to hear that, Adam. Does anybody here have a bog pod? BogPod. BOGPOD. I bought one to sight in my crossbow so I could get a good steady rest. And it's a nice piece of gear, but I would never use it in a hunting scenario. It's just too heavy. It's really heavy. So what I did is I bought just the head of the BogPod, and I'm going to put it on a Vanguard tripod shooting stick. And I think that'll work. What I like about that is the idea of when I'm sitting in a blind, either turkey hunting or bear hunting or deer hunting, sitting in a blind is having that crossbow up in front of me already in place. So I don't have to go through the movement of lifting it up and aim with it. That's when the critters see is when you're moving. Jim says good for it would be, you know what? It would be excellent for permanent blinds. Jim, you're absolutely right. Excellent. Julie, good evening. How are you? James says he's got one for the kids. Well, I'm not a kid, and I was using one. I'm still doing a little roadside turkey scouting. Yeah, you know what that is, Scott? That is the Scott Hand clause. Honestly, Scott Hand says the Angler Quest tournament rules say either sign up for big fish or big bag weight, but not both. Because Scott Hand, who bought my old Angler Quest, kicked booty on the Angler Quest owners tournament on Saginaw Bay last year and won biggest bag and biggest fish. Yeah, James, I couldn't justify paying the extra money for the carbon fiber one. I just couldn't pull the trigger on that one. No pun intended. Well, pun intended. Bogs. So it's a bog. I don't know. Tim says turned out to be a beautiful day. Saw an eagle, deer, sandhills, geese, ducks, and a muskrat all from the house. It's a pretty good view you've got there from the house, Tim. What else? Those of you who were involved in our Trinity dinner, and by that, those of you who turned out for the dinner and who offered up items for us to auction off, thank you for your support. We had our debriefing meeting last night, and we set a new record by a long ways. It was our most successful dinner ever. It is bog pod. How do the hunting guys on TV say it? Bog or bog? Anyway, bog pod death grip tripod. It is a mouthful. Hudson says the power went out into school today. Paul checking in from the Eastern UP Pickford East Side. Bog Pog is awesome. Best investment I ever made. I'm older, a little shaky. It's awesome. Yes, heavy, but in a box blind, it's awesome. I can see that. As Captain Jim Robleski was saying, in a permanent blind, it would be outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. What else is coming up? In about 5 minutes, we're going to give away a Michigan brand ham. Don't make your comments yet. This will be our last Michigan brand ham for Easter. Now, you're not going to get. Well, I'm going to repeat that here, Jim. You're not going to get that Michigan brand ham in time for Easter. It's not going to happen. I guess, I don't know, unless you want to drive to the Bay City plant and pick it up. I guess that would be an option. We're giving it away for Easter. It's our last one for Easter. And Jim brought this up, but let me touch on this briefly. I get that we have to have, hey, Mapes, I didn't post your picture yet, but I've got it. I will post it. Yes, I am going to fish in the Angler Quest Owners Tournament, and then I'm going to MC the event. Jerry checking in from the Adirondacks of New York. Good evening, Jerry. Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Easter. We've got to have Easter eggs and Easter bunnies and chocolate eggs. I get that. But I'm going to ask you this Easter weekend, please keep in mind the real reason for the season. And it's not the Easter bunny. It's a risen Christ. It's resurrection. It's salvation. It's the pinnacle of the Christian year. And if you want to say that if you're offended by that, I used to say, I'm so sorry. Now I say, I don't care. I got to tell you what I believe. Scott said he got his thank you letter from Trinity today. Looking forward to the youth hunt for the winter. Thank you, Scott. That was very nice of you to do that. By the way, Scott Hand, who bought my old Angler Quest, and he won the first Angler Quest owners tourney. He gave us access to his family farm for a youth hunt for our Trinity dinner. He's also one of the head cheeses, one of the head honchos at the Walleye for Warriors event. So Scott is going to remind us, if you go to the website, walleyesforwarriors.org, walleyesforwarriors.org, you can sign up to be either a boat captain or a veteran. You can't sign up to be a veteran. You're a veteran who's signing up to fish. You do not have to be a licensed charter captain. They call it boat captain, but all you have to do is have a boat that's seaworthy, Saginaw Bay. You have to have walleye fishing equipment. Somebody was telling me this morning they went out and the guy only had salmon gear. So please have walleye fishing equipment and be willing to take a couple of vets out on Saginaw Bay. The event is June 10th and 11th out of Linwood Beach Marina on Saginaw Bay. Go to walleyesforwarriors.org, walleyesforwarriors.org, and sign up. Scott says captains and veterans are still needed. Brent says hello from Tracy and I. Well, hello, Brent. Hello, Tracy. How are you? It seems like it might be a good time. No. I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to make you wait just a couple of more minutes. Captains and veterans are still needed for the Walleye for Warriors event. Go to walleye walleyesforwarriors.org, walleyesforwarriors.org. I'm really going to make you wait tonight. There are a lot of them. There's also a trolling with the troops in St. Joe in May. There is an event. Good evening, Eric. There's an event out of Manistee, Tight Line for Troops. There's one on Tawas in July, I think, that a guy sent me an email on. So there are lots of these great events. And in fact, the Walleye for Warriors event started after Nels Larson, who has now passed. Nels fished the Tight Line for Troops event in Manistee and said, we need to do something on the east side of the state. And he put it together. Good evening, Chad. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. Yeah, Joe, it's a great cause. Absolutely a great cause. I don't think I'll keep them waiting till the very end, Johnny. But they're in more of a hurry than you are. You're just kicking back and relaxing over at Andy's. Hey, don't forget it's time to get your new fishing licenses. Brent says, Scott Hand, get a hold of him. He'd like to give you some stuff for prizes. Excellent. Brent, you're a great guy. Brett Bowler, how are you? Michigan brand ham. Yeah, don't make your comments yet, though, because it's not counting yet. Brent Schinkel of Brent, help me out. What's the name of the company again? Very generous guy. Great custom-made baits. In fact, Joe Bean gave me a bag full of blank baits that, Joe, I haven't gotten to Brent yet. We've been talking back and forth. I just haven't made it over there. But Brent is going to hand paint those things. I'm going to ask him to do a couple for me too. Chris checking in from Kansas. Rick, good evening. How are you? Wayne, hello. Nice to have you along with us. Paul says he will check out Walleye for Warriors, a vet and a boat captain. I'll see if I can do it. It's June 10th and 11th, Paul. Go to the website, walleyesforwarriors.org. That's walleyesforwarriors.org. You can sign up to be a boat captain, or you can sign up to fish as a veteran. Wow, Scott just gave out his number on Facebook. Also, new tags for your ATVs. I didn't realize that. Jerry, good evening. How are you? You're welcome, Paul. You're more than welcome, Paul. All right. What else is on the list? I'm really going to make you wait for it tonight. Here's who's coming up on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week. Hello, George. Walleye and perch on the brain. Dave, good evening. Tim says, what do you think about 10-point crossbows? My wife, Stacy, and I own them. Well, you may or may not know this, Tim. I just bought a 10-point. I went up to Jay's and bought a 10-point Viper S400. It's a new bow, but it's a model year, a couple years old. So far, I love it. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Hey, Joe, good evening. How are you? Always a pleasure to have you. Oh, there you are. Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Matt, same thing. And Johnny says he thinks he'll have another tea. Oh, hey, Joe, I was just talking about how Easter is more than just, I don't know what that means, Scott. Oh, you're trying to give him my telephone number? Yeah, don't do that. Joe, I was just telling folks reminding folks about how Easter is more than Easter bunnies and chocolate eggs. And I'm asking people to remember this weekend, the real reason for the celebration. Patrick bought his first annual Easter Michigan brand ham in Fenton today. Was the weather a factor, a smaller crowd in Charlie? Absolutely it was. Also, another veterans retreat in Pellston. Nice place in northern Michigan, Pellston indeed. All right, I've made you work long enough. If you have won a Michigan brand ham or anything on Wednesday Night Live in the last year, I ask you not to get involved. If you have not, and you would like to win a Michigan brand ham as part of our Lenten celebration, that's exactly. Joe says, preach it. It's about Jesus. Preach it, brother. And indeed it is. Hello, Mike. Happy Easter. God bless you as well. If you want to win a Michigan brand ham, make your comments right now. You got 2 minutes starting right now. Why you want to win a Michigan brand ham. Now, you probably won't get it in time for Easter, but this is the last one that we're giving away until Thanksgiving. Please don't make your comments about, well, I want a Michigan brand ham because I'm going to give it to a needy family. That is obviously a wonderful thing to do. But if you make that comment, Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats, who is standing by, can't pick a winner. Jim says, after 2 years of trying, I sure would love a Michigan brand ham. Scott, for whatever reason, I'm going to, how do I get rid of Scott right there? Scott, you're lucky. I had 2 options. It was delete you or ban you, and I was going to delete you. Or I was going to ban you, but I just deleted you. Oh, well. Lots of comments coming in about why you want to win a Michigan brand ham. Oh, Scott says sorry. Okay. Scott, you're forgiven. My bad. I'm glad I didn't ban you. I'm glad I just deleted it. Tony's got a good one. No, Dave, we just talked about this. Somebody said, Mike, why don't you, would you be interested in becoming an NRC commissioner, Natural Resources Commission? Absolutely not. Lori wants to win a Michigan brand ham. Ross, I wouldn't delete you. Ross, I'd ban you. One more minute on why you want to win. Hey, Cameron, how are things in Southwest Michigan? Michiganbrand.net. Michiganbrand.net is the website. If you want to know where you can buy Michigan brand products in your neck of the woods, go to the website, michiganbrand.net. Put in your zip code, and there will be a list of places you can buy it. Billy, I enjoyed your picture of the Morels. We were just talking about it. The first Morels of the season. God was my mouse to the delete button. 30 seconds on why you want to win a Michigan brand ham. Hey, Mark, how are you, buddy? Nice to have you with us. They're excellent. We're going to have one at the Avery House. I went over to Jack's Monday and bought one. 15 seconds on why you want to win a Michigan brand ham. I'm not really keeping track, but it's roughly 15 seconds. All right, this is the last buzzer I'm going to have a chance to do until Thanksgiving. 10, 9, 8, 7. He's already done. 6. Excellent. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not too shabby. Scott says, stay focused. That was a buzzer. It was not a record-breaking buzzer, but it was a pretty good buzzer. I went out on a high note, I think. Nick says, Dave Letts is tonight's winner. Dave Letts is the winner of this week's. Yeah, it froze. Yeah, where's Chad? Yeah, the video froze. No, that was a long buzzer. It was impressive. Thank you very much. Tony, greetings from Florida. Who was it? Dave Letts. Dave Letts, congrats on winning our last Michigan brand ham until the fall holiday season. Congratulations. By the way, how long was that buzzer? John says, ooh, really close to a record? Had I known that, I could have squeaked that. What was it, John? What was it, John? Yeah. Congrats to Dave. But how was my buzzer? Come on, John Callison. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Tracy is congratulating Dave. Bernie's congratulating Dave. Ed's congratulating Dave. How long, John Callison? Paul says the hand count, 39 seconds. No. John Callison. Oh, my gosh. It was 39.12 seconds, and the record is 39.68. Oh, my gosh. Had I known that, I could have squeaked out another half a second. Oh, well, another 3/4 of a second. Man, and it's the last time I'm going to get a chance to do that until the fall. And I bet you're darned glad it is indeed the last time. I know, so close. Jake said it seemed like, he says 2 minutes, probably seemed like 2 hours. Oh, so Dave Letts, congratulations. Listen, Dave, send me a private message here on Facebook or an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. We're shipping address. I will get that to Nick. Again, you're not going to get that Michigan brand ham in time for Easter, unfortunately. But congrats. And thank you to Nick Grillo and the entire Grillo family from, I know the look of disappointment, from Michigan Brand Meats, MichiganBrand.net, MichiganBrand.net. Great people, generous people, Michigan-based family-owned company and hardcore hunters and anglers. You know I love the folks at Michigan Brand Ham. You know, Michigan Brand Meats, you know I love their products, and we always have a Michigan Brand ham at the Easter house for dinner. I went to Jack's the other day, Monday, and bought one for Easter dinner. So looking forward to that. Dave Letts, congrats. Jeff says, good people. They are good people. Lori says, congrats. Close is only, no. This is not true. Eric says, close is only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. No. I was pretty darn close, so maybe I'll have to find something else to give away. You're saying, huh? Well, I think that's so cool that Brent has already reached out to you, Scott. That is wonderful. I personally know both Brent and Scott, and they're great guys. So close. I'm going to feel like a failure the rest of the evening. I thought I was going to beat it. Okay, I can have a redo. Nick, give us another ham. I can break that record. I was so close. It does deserve a maker's mark. James is right. I was so close. I need to reward myself with a maker's mark and crystal light in my Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Yeti. I don't like Yeti. I think they're overpriced. But when people give them to me, I'll use them. But I do like Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Yeah, they are very generous. They give away, they give us a lot of product to give away, and I do appreciate that. Half a second short. Oh my gosh. I could have done it. I could have been a contender. Yeah, cigars and a maker's mark will make me feel better. You're welcome, Brent. I'll be training all summer long to break that. You're right. All summer long, I'll be training to beat that record. All right. So now let me tell you who's on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this weekend. As I wallow in my self-pity. As Blake would say, get a Kleenex. You blew it. I might do an encore buzzer on the way out, loser. All right, you guys. One heartbeat away. I think I might go out with a buzzer tonight just to prove to you I can do it. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. All right, here's who's coming up on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week. Brian Burrows, who is the executive director for Trout Unlimited in Michigan, talks about trout fishing in Michigan, obviously, and the status of trout fishing in Michigan, status of our trout habitat, because trout season opens up in 3 weeks now, although there are a lot of places you can fish trout right now. The opener of trout season is much like the opening day of deer season, in my opinion, in that it used to be there was one opener for trout season and one opener for deer season. And you really looked forward to those openers. These days, some of that excitement has been diluted because there's so many other openers and so many seasons that are open. I maybe do a practice. No, I have not been out fishing at all. Not at all. Here we go. Elmer, possible funding to save Cornwall floodings, but may not be in time before drawdown starts this fall. And then if I add a little cinnamon to my maker's mark, I'll be more healthy. I hadn't thought of that. Actually, I add a little crystal light with my maker's mark. Do you fish any ditches? My daughter and I fish Palmer Road Stage, taking a 50. No, I don't fish. I listen, about the only fishing I do these days is on Saginaw Bay aboard the Angler Quest. Rick says they scout trout streams. There's a name I don't recognize. Maybe do a freaking pickle giveaway. I could do that. I could do a Rapid River knife giveaway. Except, nope, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to be the one who's going to sit here and look at all these comments. So that's not going to happen. I'm just going to do a buzzer just to annoy you. Maumee River Walleye Run's ready for trout season. Stu says too many areas open all year. All right, Chris, have a good evening at work. So Brian Burrows of Trout Unlimited kicks off the show this week. Peepers, spring peepers are out in full force. Yeah, I love the sound of those things. Then Tony Smoker of Mad Hatter Jigs wraps up the first hour. Second hour, Clay Edney, Michigan's morel master, talking about springtime morel mushrooms. And I told you, I just posted a picture on the Facebook page, my Facebook page, of the first morels of the year down in Oakland County. Then Nick Green of MUCC comes in with a report out of Lansing. This week's Ask Avery segment deals with the question of, well, I might have it right here. I'll read it to you. I think I can find it here real quick. The Ask Avery segment this week comes from Doug Farver. And he says, hi, Mike, I have a question for you. If there's a bait ban, then why are food plots allowed? Wouldn't deer still congregate at the food plots? Excellent question. Of course they congregate at food plots. Just like they congregate in orchards, just like they congregate under apple trees, just like they concentrate in farmers' fields. Yes, Oakland County morels. There's a picture of it on my Facebook page. He found them on Tuesday. So to answer the question, yeah, I mean, other areas concentrate deer as well, but the DNR biologists say, well, a food plot doesn't concentrate them as closely as bait does. Do not look for baiting to come back in the Lower Peninsula anytime soon. I have posed this question to the DNR many times, and thank you, Johnny. And they say no, it's not on their radar at all. They have no intention of bringing back baiting to the Lower Peninsula, which I think is a shame for two reasons. Number one, it's hard to bring in deer when your neighbors are all baiting, or not all, but when you've got neighbors who are baiting, it's hard to bring deer into your property. And the other thing is, I think baiting is a wonderful tool to bring deer in so new hunters can see them. It also gives you a chance to size up the deer. Is it an animal you want to take? And it, what, Tim, my answer or theirs? There's no, I see what you did there, Mark. He said, what's the smallest food plot you can have? I see what you did there. And also, I think bait, waits. I knew that, Tim. It allows you to wait till the animal is positioned, because if they're feeding on bait in front of you, they're going to be moving around. Eventually, they're going to quarter away and stick that leg out and open up their chest cavity. So I think, personally, I would like to see baiting, limited baiting, not the old-fashioned baiting where you bring in a pickup load of beets and dump them in the woods. No, not that. Interesting. From Montana. Caught a sucker here in Montana, smoked it. Every local at work turned their nose up at it. Kokanee is king here. Interesting, Kirk. How are things in Montana? In our third hour this week, we're talking turkey with Greg. We're talking turkey with Greg Abbas of A-Way Outdoors. Greg, of course, a 6-time turkey calling champ, a former turkey calling champ here in Michigan, a former turkey hunting guide, all-around good guy. And then we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Joel says he's getting ready for turkey season. Good luck this year. I'm getting ready for turkey season too. My number one spot is about a mile and a half from here. About a mile and a half. Brian says, I support no baiting, but understand why. People don't appreciate this rule. Don't understand why people don't appreciate this rule. Preach it on the bait, Jake says. Greg is awesome. He is awesome. Hello, Brian. How are you? Yeah, Greg Abbas is awesome. So my main spot's about a mile and a half from here, maybe 2 miles, but certainly no more. And on the drive over there the last several evenings or several days, there's been a big flock of birds on the south side of the crossroad that gets me over to the farm where I'm hunting. Big flock, including several strutters. Now, they're starting to break up a little bit. So there's no reason to believe that 2 weeks from Saturday, by the time my season opens, that there won't be some birds wandered over that direction. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be sitting out there with my new 10-point. I'll be sitting in my Wraith 270 see-through blind. I'm going to give my yeah, you can get coordinates, Joe. It's GPS 84692 lat long 365.92. How many birds is a big flock? I'd say there's 25 birds in this flock. Rob Sador up in White River said the birds are going to need snowshoes up there. Dave Letts, who won the Michigan Brand Ham, says 2 to 5 gallons of bait is not the problem. Trailer loads are the problem. Ross says he knows where it is. You do, Ross. It's right there. It's right. It's a couple hundred yards east of where I talked to you that day. Good evening, Eric. How are you? So what I'm going to do, the way I turkey hunt, and I'll be out there with a crossbow in my blind, is I set up a couple of decoys in front of me, and I wait them out. I learned last year that I have to be more patient. Last year, I'm set up in a great spot. There's birds gobbling. They're moving around. And I see them. I see a longbeard follow a hen and strut about 150 yards south of me. So what do? Once he left, I packed up and moved the blind 150 yards south. An hour and a half later, I look back to the north, and there's a bird strutting right where I was that morning. I have to be more patient. Jason says, all signed up for the Walleye for Warriors event. Thank you, Jason. Jason is driving down from the Sioux, Scott Hand. He's driving down from the Sioux to be a boat captain in the Walleye for Warriors event. Nathan says, any more of those Versa Skins discount codes? Here it is, my friends. Go to Versa, and this goes through the month of April, and this is a huge sale. Go to versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com and use the promo code HUNT50. HUNT50. Now, I think it has to be in caps. Hunt does, but I'm not sure. HUNT50 and get half off on everything on the website at versaskins.com. How's that for a promo code, Nathan? Versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com. Use the promo code HUNT50 and get half off everything on the online store there. You're not going to find a much better deal than that. Patience is the key. Yeah, you're absolutely right. At least the way I hunt. If I was running and gunning with a shotgun, I wouldn't really have to rely so much on patience. But what I do is I hunt them with a crossbow in a blind, and I have to just wait them out. It's a lot like deer hunting. Hey, Justin, how are you? Kirk says they hunt Miriam's out west. Representative Scott Markinen from Hancock introduced legislation to introduce wolves to the UP, from the UP to the northern lower. Scott, I'm not trying to be rude, Scott, but this is an old story. And he is crazy. He's showboating. He's pandering to his people. He's pandering to his people for votes, and he's showboating. But isn't that what many politicians do? They pander and showboat. Yes, he is crazy. At least on this issue, he's crazy. Tim says he's interested if people hear gobbles this year. Why do you say that, Tim? What makes you ask if we're going to hear some birds this spring? What do you mean, good night all, Johnny? Where are you going? Did you have too many iced teas already? Time to go night-night? Pretty early for you to be leaving, buddy. Brian says, what are your expectations this turkey season, Mike? Is beard length a factor? I wouldn't shoot a Jake. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It is perfectly legal. And I have no problem with somebody shooting a Jake. None at all. I would hold out for a long beard. Brian says his alfalfa field's where it's at. Elmer says turkeys are like bucks. They don't get big by being targets or being dumb. Afternoon, Ruben. How are things in Colorado? Buy yourself a birthday gift. Have I put those birds to bed so you know where their trees are coming out of? No, Rick, I haven't put them to bed, but because I've hunted the same piece of property now about 3 or 4 years, I pretty much know where they roost and I know where they move. And then I have that to my advantage. The problem is, normally when they come off the roost, they stay in the woods and go north and don't come out into the field edge where I am. and I can't get into the woods because that's a different piece of property. So I can't go in there. So what I'm trying to do is get them to come out of the woods. When I'm trying to get them to come west, and they normally just want to travel north. So I'm trying to get them to come west. That's not always easy. You should interview him for Bud Thoughts. What does that mean, Scott? I know you had a good thought there, but you should interview him for Bud Thoughts. I don't know what that is. I would have 100% success at getting my turkey at Meijer. I would. Tim says they don't respond like they used to. I see. There is. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you, Jake. Turkeys, Dave says, turkeys are dumb. They're the dumbest bird in the world. You can drive to your turkey hunting spot and have to stop your truck in the road to let a strutter cross the road. And then you get to your spot and you never hear a bird or never see a bird. They are dumb until you hunt them. Nick says he's ready. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Ripper Jig says, let's get the best jig builder on. Mad Hatter Jigs. He's on the radio show this week. Tony Smoker's on the radio show at the end of the first hour this week. His. Okay, I'm going to go back to your this. Scott says you should interview him for his thoughts. Here's the problem with that, Scott. I don't want politicians on the show. I have a no politician rule. A no politician rule. No politicians on the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Ruben says lots and lots of snow, losing elk for the snow because of the snow. Tony says happy Easter, the Avery family. I know the reason for the season like you do. Amen, brother. There is a reason for the season, and it's not the Easter bunny, and it's not chocolate bunnies. If turkeys could smell, they would be almost unhuntable. Okay, it's time to wrap this thing up. No, Rob, you're not allowed on my show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start my music. And I'm also going to start something else. Are you ready, John? I don't know if I have two of them in me in one night, but I was so close. I'm going to try this just to say I went out on a high note. What was the time on that one, real quick, John? What was the time on that one? What was the time on that one? Come on, John. I hope he didn't leave. I hope I didn't do all that for nothing. It's a new record, ladies and gentlemen. 41.40 seconds. 41.40 seconds. The big guy comes through at the last minute, and he sets a new record of 41.40. Going out on a high note as we celebrate our risen Lord this weekend, and Avery has a new buzzer record. Does it get any better than that? Thank you, my friends, for joining me on this edition of Wednesday